Welcome to today's Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to guide you through a topic that is, quite frankly, completely reshaping corporate governance. For this session, I want you to imagine I'm your Chief Sustainability Officer, and you are my Board of Directors. Our objective today is absolutely crucial. We need to secure our competitive advantage and build unshakable investor trust by mastering the new IFRS S2 sustainability disclosure standards. It's time to align our climate strategy with our financial reality. Let's get into it. Now, what's really fascinating about this statement is how it fundamentally shifts the entire conversation. This quote gets right to the heart of why we're here today. Sustainability, it's no longer just some peripheral public relations exercise, right? It is a strict fiduciary reality. Institutional investors are legally bound to act in the best interest of their beneficiaries, which means they literally have to evaluate our sustainability practices. It's now a prerequisite for attracting vital capital. Basically, if we don't report transparently, we don't get funded. It really is that simple. To get us prepared, here's our roadmap for the meeting. We'll start with the new investor mandate, move to aligning with IFRS S2, cover board oversight and governance, assess physical versus transition risks, detail tracking our emissions data, and close with building trust and value. Okay, Section 1, the new investor mandate, capitalizing on the shift. Let's dive right into this. For years, we've had to navigate this giant alphabet soup of sustainability reporting. We're talking frameworks like the Global Reporting Initiative, or GRI, the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures, SASB, CDSB, the whole shebang. And while these are all super well-intentioned, this clutter of voluntary frameworks historically created massive confusion for our investors. They wanted comparable, consistent data, but instead, they got a giant jigsaw puzzle of different metrics. It was incredibly inefficient for us to produce, and honestly, frustrating for them to read. But thank goodness, the landscape has officially changed. We're now shifting to the unified solution provided by the International Sustainability Standards Board, the ISSB. Created by the IFRS Foundation, the ISSB has finally given us a comprehensive global baseline for disclosures through their new standards, S1 and S2. This means we are finally going to be speaking a common global language. Our disclosures will be comparable, consistent, and directly tied to the financial information that is actually material to our investors. Section 2, aligning with IFRS S2, our strategic framework. So IFRS S2 requires us to build our disclosures upon 4 foundational pillars: governance, strategy, risk management, and metrics and targets. Think of it like a 4-legged stool. We can't just pick and choose. We have to address all 4, or the whole thing falls over. We need to clearly explain who is steering the ship, how climate risks affect our specific business model, how we identify and monitor those risks, and finally, the hard numbers we're using to actually measure our progress. Moving to Section 3, Board Oversight and Governance. Leading the charge. Here's the crucial point. Investors really want to look under the hood of our leadership. Under IFRS S2, we have to explicitly identify the specific governance bodies, like, this very board and its dedicated committees that are responsible for overseeing climate risks and opportunities. But it goes way further than just naming names. We actually have to disclose your competencies. Why are you the exact right people to guide us through a climate transition? We also need to detail management's exact role in executing these processes and controls. Investors need to see a tight, highly competent ship. Section 4, physical versus transition risks. Assessing our exposure. When we talk about climate-related risks under S2, we're really dealing with 2 completely distinct beasts here. First up are physical risks. These can be acute, event-driven disasters, like severe storms completely crippling our supply chain routes, or chronic, long-term shifts, like rising sea levels and reduced water availability. On the flip side, we have transition risks. As the world rapidly moves toward a lower carbon economy, we face business risks from sudden carbon tax policies, rapid shifts to green technologies, and wildly changing consumer preferences. We have to evaluate and transparently disclose how both sets of risks financially impact our operations. But hey, assessing risk actually builds into something super positive. Look at this definition of climate resilience. It's our capacity to adjust to uncertainties, yes, but also to benefit from climate-related opportunities. Our strategy isn't just about playing defense against storms and regulations. A resilient strategy means we're innovating. It means developing new products that the low-carbon market desperately needs, capturing new business and totally outmaneuvering our slower competitors. That right there is what investors are really looking for. Section 5, tracking our emissions data. The metrics. So IFRS S2 requires us to be incredibly meticulous about our greenhouse gas footprint, and it breaks it down into 3 expanding scopes. Actually, think of these as expanding circles of responsibility. Step 1 is Scope 1. These are our direct emissions from sources we own or control. Think of the fuel burned in our company vehicles or our on-site manufacturing. Step 2 is Scope 2. These are indirect emissions from the generation of electricity, heating, or cooling that we purchase and consume. And finally, the big one. Step 3 is Scope 3. These are the indirect emissions across our entire upstream and downstream value chain. This means we're accountable for tracking the carbon impact of our suppliers, as well as how our customers use our products. I know, it's a massive undertaking, but it is absolutely the new global standard for transparency. Finally, Section 6, Building Trust and Value, the trust dividend. You might be wondering, so what's the ultimate payoff for all this? Well, the work we put into aligning with IFRS S2 translates directly to shareholder value. Investors today heavily employ screening strategies to optimize their financial returns based on ESG factors. By transparently disclosing our climate strategy, we prove to the market that we're actively mitigating future costs like skyrocketing insurance premiums or operational halts from physical disasters. When we show proactive, well-governed climate goals, we attract massive pools of capital from responsible investors who are looking for safe, forward-thinking bets. By addressing these risks head-on, we aren't just checking a compliance box. We are unlocking serious new market advantages. So I'll leave you, the board, with this final provocative thought. The climate transition is happening right now, and the capital markets are demanding clear, standardized data through IFRS S2. We have the framework, we know the pillars, and we understand the metrics we need to hit. The only question left is, will we proactively lead this transition and secure our competitive future, or will we sit back and let the transition manage us? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Now let's get to work.